Hello crafters and welcome back to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. My name is Deepa from Designs by Dee, and today I have a 3-piece recipe to show you how to make CAS cards. So CAS is short for clean and simple, and if you're anything like me, I tend to add a lot of details. It's hard to stick to just 3 things to stick on a card. So I wanted to give you this kind of guideline, and remember, it is just a guideline, so it can help you in your card making for CAS cards, which is what I've needed the most help with. So these are the products that I'm going to be using today. I've got just 3 main products to go with my 3-piece rule, and remember, I say rule, it's just a guideline. You can add a little bit more or a little bit less and work it to your advantage. Now, the 3 things that I think you should add are 1, a sentiment. So I'm going to use the All You Need Is Love stamp set for that. And then to go with the sentiment, you also need a focal point. So my main focal point is going to be the Lila Meraki Flora Paradise. So this is going to be the focal point on my card. I'll cut those out and make that look really nice. And then the third component is anything you want. So for me, I've chosen the Parisian Mini Slimline Meraki Paradise. So this is just for the background. It's just going to create a nice background, and I'm going to keep it plain white to go with the CAS theme, and that is going to be my 3-piece kind of recipe here. Now your third piece could be ribbon. It could be maybe some ink blending in the background, just a little bit in the background, something like that. And remember, you can add a number 4, a number 5 on. Something small is totally up to you. Like for example, I've got the 3-piece rule, but my 4th piece would actually be embellishments, which I do add on in the end. So, I say 3, but it's very lightheartedly. You can totally add or take away from that. So, I've gone ahead and I've cut out all of these die cut pieces here from the Lila Meraki die set, and I've just kind of separated them all and put them into a little bowl. I'll deal with that in a minute, but first I want to do my step 3, which is the background. So I'm actually taking the background die and I'm cutting it out from some white cardstock. And that was very simple. I'll just keep that aside. Now moving on, I've got all of those die cut pieces, and I like using my stamp wheel, my Altenew stamp wheel, to add ink to these. So I've got some Dusty Rose Altenew ink, and I'm going to add that to all of those little bell flowers for the Lily of the Valley flower there. And I've added some of that peachy Dusty Rose, and then I'm also adding a bit of velvet, which is a darker red, just more so to the bottom. I wanted to create more of a gradient of color on these flowers just to give them more of a realistic look. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the leaf fronds and the stems, and this time I'm using some, I think this one is silver sage, then I've got some jade and eucalyptus. So I'm going to add the 3 colors, more colors in more of one color, in different areas. Like you'll see in the end, I have more of the eucalyptus, the darkest color on like the top and the bottom of the leaves and the stems, just to give that beautiful gradient and more of a realistic look. So you can see that I'm spending most of my time on the focal point. So I've die cut everything, I'm adding the colors, and now I'm going to do something a little extra. So I've got this foam base here, and I've got these stylus tools. These are from Spellbinders, and all you really want to do is use the ball point of it. And all I'm doing is shaping these flowers to give them more of like a cup and a rounded look, so that they look more like the bell shape that the Lily of the Valley flowers tend to have. And this really doesn't take too long. You see, I put all of them down and then I just shape them with the stylus, and I'm pretty much done that step. And then moving on, I'm going to add the sentiment here. So I want to stamp this out. I like this is like a block stamp, so I haven't used it yet. I'm just conditioning it a bit there with an eraser. And then I'm going to add some more of that velvet ink that we used at the bottoms of those Lily of the Valley flowers. I've stamped this out a few times to get a nice solid stamp, and you can see how gorgeous it looks. And then all I have to do is use my guillotine cutter to cut this down. Now when it's stamped on the white, this sentiment looks pretty nice, but once you cut it out and you get that sentiment strip, I think that is just, it's like the icing on the cake. I just love how it looks once you've cut it all out. So moving on, let's go ahead and assemble this CAS card. So again, our background is plain white, and we die cut it with the Parisian Mini Slimline cover die there. Now I'm just adding 2 of the stems, and you'll notice that in the Lila or the Lila Meraki Paradise set, you actually get 3 stems. I'm only going to use 2 of them here. And then to add the little flowers, I've actually got these smaller foam squares. So they're really small. I will have a link to them below. And I go ahead and take the backing off and then just stick these little flowers on. Now I did use the foam squares because I want to keep that curved shape that we added to the flower. And this allows the flower to stand off the card base a little bit such that you can keep that curved shape in the flower. And so I've gone ahead and I've added a whole bunch of those little foam squares because it does take a little bit of time because it is so small. I use a pair of tweezers to kind of just take off the release paper from the back. That helps a bit. And then I just use my picking tool to kind of pick up the little flowers and attach it to the foam squares. So again, the majority of my time is spent on my focal point. So I've got the focal point, which is the flowers. That's number 1. Number 2 is the sentiment. And number 3 is whatever you want, which is my background. And then I added an extra number, little 4, which was my embellishments. You could do that too. You could use some ribbon if you wanted to. The main point of the CAS card is to keep it simple, right? And the clean look to have a lot of white spaces. So, as I said, it's a guide. And in card making, the best part about it is you can do whatever you want. So, I'm sticking to this as a guide, but you can always add a little more. It's completely up to you. Like if I had a little bit more time, I would have actually added some glitter onto those little flowers as well. Now, since this is a mini slimline, I actually do not do any measuring. All I did was take the panel, stick it on my cardstock, and then score a line down the center. Now, I folded it. I'm cutting off the extra bit there, so I've got basically the width. Now, for the length, all I'm doing is sticking it in my guillotine cutter, and I'm just adding the panel on top and allowing a little bit of a border and cutting it off. No measurements needed. This is what I'm all about. I hate measuring, so I will always give you tips on how to get away with not measuring your backgrounds. So that's how I do it. And you can see I still have like a little bit of a larger border on the top, so I'll just go ahead and cut that little piece off, and it's perfect and ready to go. Now I can finally add my sentiment. I'm going to do that with some foam adhesive again, just to have it stand off the card a bit. Any chance I get to add a bit of dimension, I always do that, just because I think it adds a little something extra. And especially when you have a CAS card like this, you really want your colored components to kind of pop off the card more. And the foam adhesive literally does that. So now I'm adding my extra little number 4. So sentiment, focal point, and number 3 is anything you want, and then my number 4 is my embellishments. And I can never create a card without putting embellishments on, so that's just basically my thing there. So you could have left that without the embellishments and it still would have looked beautiful. So that is my CAS card for you today. I hope that you liked this video and that this 3-piece recipe kind of gives you a guideline of how to create CAS cards. And as I said, add a little more, take a little bit away. It's completely up to you. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Everything that I have used in the video today is listed in the description below, so you can always check that out. And I hope to see you guys again next time. Have a great weekend, and I will see you then. Bye.